Wow, we actually made it to 20 sketches. I'm starting to feel real proud of that milestone hit. Honestly, I try to keep the goals, somewhat realistic so that, I don't feel too bad when I don't hit the mark. But a lot of times I don't, I don't finish a song or don't hit a goal. And it's no big deal, honestly. There should be no reason to beat oneself up. But anyway, so I was feeling a bit like trying something a little bit more intense today, maybe back into some of that abstract beat territory. We've been doing a lot of mellow type of stuff as of late, which is cool. Mellow's good. I think my personality mostly fits with the mellow vibe. So I like to switch it up too. So let's try something a little more intense like we've done in the past. Got some Morse code going on there. Let's do this down there in the lower range, and I'm going to bust in. Let's put a drum track in here, and move this over. I guess I could have just replaced the operator with the drum track and dragged another operator in there, but whatever. Sometimes you end up taking the long scenic route to get where you want to go. Okay, cool. And from here we can pitch things around with our Midi pitch effect. We've set this thing up to be a lot faster from the get-go. I think I need to mess around with the little pitch envelope. Almost like a cumbia kind of, getting some African vibes on that one. Laser beams. All right, let's automate that. Getting a little bit faster with these hotkeys of mine. If there's one thing I absolutely adore about this whole sketch series, it's that it motivated some cool new hotkeys and some new tips and techniques for myself even. So it's mainly why I'm doing this. Sorry guys, and gals, I'm a little selfish. Well, really sketching should be about your own edification, your own growth, your own evolution. Learning to do things faster, to learn your own language, and to be able to get that language out. Somewhat of this sketching is for me to learn the English language and how to get that out. Honestly, if you listen to any of my other videos, you'll hear that it's a struggle sometimes, especially when trying to do creative stuff like this. We'll mess with that later. I only want to get a little grit, little noise in there, a little white noise. Subdue it a little bit. All right, cool. I like that kind of. I like modulating everything. Oh, hey, whoa! I think I hit the wrong button. Let's go ahead and delete that. We don't need that anymore. Where was I? Thrown off there. All right. We want to modulate the attack a little bit. All right, cool. I kind of like that. It adds a bit of a kind of slinky type sound to it. Sometimes playing with the time on the operator is interesting. It takes all the envelopes and stretches them out a little bit or shrinks them depending. I also, as you've seen before, love this high velocity LFO, because you can pull out some extra tones and resonances from. Definitely gives it that modular. And I usually like turning re-trigger off. Re-trigger on means every time you get a MIDI note coming back in, I think it resets the LFO, but at this high of a rate, it almost really doesn't matter. All right, let's go muck about with this one. I don't know if this sound actually works for... Hey, we got ourselves a nice little crash beat. Okay, back at it. I added in another little hotkey thing that basically every time I turn this thing on, it saves. So hopefully that will fix our problem. I just have a weird hunch that maybe it's just a lot of automation data getting in the undo thing there that's causing some of the crashing. I honestly don't know, but we're gonna test that theory out and see maybe if it holds water, as they say. So thanks for bearing with me with these technical difficulties. Of course, you know, I'm not really doing any of these videos to win any awards on, you know, best best video production. It is pretty lo-fi, honestly. That is like the least of the amount of cycles I want to put into this. I'd rather have more bandwidth mentally for creating the sounds, and yeah, so not going to be the next Andrew Huang. I love his video production, though. He does a really great job, and, you know, makes so much sense that he's become a bit of a celeb there. The last thing I want to do is become any kind of a YouTube celeb anything. I just want to like have an excuse to do this sketching, a motivation. And this kind of helps. Might as well just videotape it and try and get a little experience in that way. Exercise the vocal cords a little bit. They don't get a lot of use, to be honest. Most of my albums, I'll spend hours and hours and hours, you know, just in silence listening. Cool. All right. Cool. This is kind of, I guess, a hi-hat-ish percussion. I do believe, before I move on to the next voice, I want to get a bit of a gate in there. I guess since we have a MIDI effect, I can just go ahead and group that and map the speaker on. It's cool that they have included a speaker on for MIDI. Delete that. I think we want to go ahead and I'll modulate this one for shites and giggles. And let's hold down Alt and pull that off the grid a little bit there, so our cycling is not happening perfectly to the beat. We're losing too many. Gator pitch. And maybe I want to also have one of those on this little hi-hat-ish thing. I'm gonna change this white noise to noise looped. Noise looped, you can mess with the pitch. Now we've got a lot of filtering, so I don't know if we're really even gonna notice. I kind of notice it there. Yeah, we could add a random in that'll just fire off a random pitch, add some scale that will increase the pitches there. One quick thing I like to do, I just wanted to see what this was doing. We can see the notes, these little red dashes here. If we add a note length, right now we have really small length notes, we can see that the red, it's kind of weirdly like that length happening every now and then. So this way we can kind of monitor. It's like a really simple way of checking out what our randomizer is doing note-wise. So you can see here they're a lot more localized, a lot more centralized. So we have two choices. That means the main note that comes in is split off to 2 +1 +2. If we do by, it'll also go -1 -2 randomly. And scale adds up an octave, I believe. So cool. I want to, so just FYI, you can use this this here to sort of monitor what is happening velocity-wise, note-wise. It's pretty useful. We'll modulate that. We'll let the length come out and stay every now and then. Cool. I love designing funny little sounds. It's so relaxing. I can do it for hours. I've tried to do my best to keep these videos down to some realistic length. Some of them I might do in multiple parts. Maybe I'll have some several hour marathon ones. I mean, if nothing else, you walk away with a couple of free ALS projects and some interesting things happening in there that you might be able to save out and remix and reuse in your own projects. I love free stuff. Ever since the net label days when music was kind of just given out for free. Let's loop that there. And add a note length to see if we can hear this loop. Starting to sound real mathy. All right, let's automate that. I like a little dry tonal melodics in there. All right. I guess we're gonna automate this one. That wasn't exactly the one I wanted to automate, but we'll get back to that one. Pretty cool. Let's go ahead and pull this one off the grid. And also, I want to play with this. Yeah, you can hear the cool, weird rhythms you get off this loop thing. We've also got beats. Let's mess about with that one. Nice. Okay. All right. Let's just start moving this one around. Works for me. And I think as we pull the length down, the notes that come in are too short to really experience a lot of the... So as we pull up the length, we'll get these longer notes happening here that lets this beat loop situation with the envelope happen. So I'm going to obviously automate the note length at this point. And I do have this idea of wanting to try to play with the chord Midi effect. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of those dots. Wish it would just happen automatically. And I do believe there is a Midi or an option in the options file, which is a bit more of an advanced user thing to do, but you can set the... Oh, we could definitely do some fun, weird stuff there. You can set an option to basically thin out automation. I like this almost weird spectrally. Definitely sounds like a spectral smear, if you will. Nice. We can modulate this here pitch to every now and then. Whoa, I think I was just doing 3 there. Let's go ahead and duplicate this out. We'll plus 6, right? That was the one. I think plus 3, plus 6. This is an interesting way to play with melodies and pitches. With that crazy spectrally chord thing we added. You know, it seems like just about all the numbers that we're adding to this pitch here, all the offsets of semitones are sounding kind of interesting. And what really gets nutty is if you start stacking chords. Of course, it depends on how many voices you have here. And the more voices, obviously, the more CPU. So if you're trying to use this kind of a technique live, we got 7. We want to go 8, 9, 10, 11. Now we got the whole octave playing together. I think that's probably enough. Sounds very modal with that kind of a technique. And let's get another pitch in there, and we'll modulate this one between 1 octave up and 1 octave down. Okay, looks like... Oh, because we have a pitch here. Yeah, that one... whoops. Still getting the hang of these... keyboard shortcuts. But again, auto hotkey is amazing, and I highly recommend it for anyone wanting to expand, you know, and speed up the process, and being able to do stuff just like I can hit one button and copy, one button paste, one button to duplicate, one button cut, paste. There's so much, and especially over here, having all of these, you know, Control E can just be one key. It really makes things super useful. Got one that just will add in an audio track, one that adds in a Midi track. You know, there's all the things that I love to use, and of course, you know, hotkeys to bust out all of my favorite, you know, most highly used effects is really priceless. And you could set up hotkeys to, you know, pull up drum racks. You know, you can name them a certain way, and it's there's no end to it without a hotkey. There's probably something out there for the Mac, but I have no idea what that is. It lets you do as many crazy things. I know Bohm's Midi Translate actually for the Mac lets you do some pretty next level stuff. I don't know if it has the if it has as many options in terms of being able to like move the mouse, and if it has the functions built in like auto hotkey, you can do expressions and for loops and all kinds of. And if we turn this off, I am just curious about something because I don't think I've ever tried something like this. Let's try a chain and pull these up, and let's just have a dry chain. Definitely not as exciting as the crazy chord modal sound. Interesting. I don't know if this is just sending more MIDI notes in, I guess, but crazy spectral kind of also reminds me of this. It's a movement of music within the modern experimental classical music, I guess, style or realm. Called Spectral Music, and I saw this concert, and there was there were probably 50 violinists all standing next to each other, making sort of almost like a half circle. They were standing in an oval, and they would start from one end playing one pitch, the next one in line would play a slight pitch up, the next one in line would start then playing a slight pitch up, and after 50 of them, you'd have this crazy array of pitches with violins sustained, all playing at the same time, and the sound was just, it sounded insane and computer generated, but also very organic and real. Like, I don't think I'd ever heard anything quite like that. It was beautiful and terrifying all at the same time. But spectral music, yeah. And so I guess they were kind of mimicking some of the techniques you can do with semitones and modal pitches with computers, but except using orchestral instruments. All right, let's try this algorithm. definitely interesting. Let's move on to something. We can always come back to that. Call this spectral. We get like a bass line of some kind. It's something that I oftentimes use my kicks as basses. Play with the analog for the bass there. Just gonna randomly pop in some notes there. Not thinking about it too much. Sounds like we've got a long tail. Absolutely need to put a pitch in there and drop it way down if we were to call this anything like a bass. Yeah, absolutely. I think I want to... Looks like this one is off grid. Yeah, I think I had the grid off when I put all these notes in. Sometimes you want that. Sometimes, like for the lo-fi hip-hop, you got to record without a quantize and get it really kind of janky rhythms. But if you loop a janky rhythm over and over, oftentimes it can really kind of make sense on its own and sound really intentional in that looping. Believe it or not. I think it's a fine line between garbage and awesome. So let's put a MIDI humanizer in there. Just gotta love, sometimes this humanizer is so useful for making abstract beats. At least I know, some of the greats like Audiker tend to employ this kind of breaking up the monotony, and it doesn't happen all the time. They'll have it so they can turn it on and off at different spots, or they maybe automate the on and off so that it's only adding some jank into the rhythm. Every now and then. Okay, so we'll get back to that. I want to play with the bass more. And it is pretty cool that also the analog has a loop feature. I haven't really messed with that, so I'm not really sure. I think we want more bass notes in there to give it. Yeah, we could just really draw in this whole, just way too many, and it sounds terrible. But then we could also group this and add in some random-esque speaker on-off modulation. So at this point, only the ons, are going to carry our. If I pull this off the grid, the higher this number, the weirder things are going to be. And that is okay with me. Honestly, the weirder the better. I love experimentation. It's where all the fun ideas come from. Pull this down. Let's try that again. Cool. And auto save. Turn on our clip automation record. No crashes so far, so good. It seems to be just this one computer, the living room studio computer, the MacBook Pro Hackintosh Windows 7. I don't ever get crashes when I'm doing wild and crazy clip automation recording. Spectral is cool, but it also needs, you know, some more effects. Some more... something more to give it a bit more... Always curious what a grain delay set to minus 10, 12 I mean, an octave down. Could also throw a side chain from the kick of this. Well, kick I say, quote unquote, it is maybe if we add in a drum bus at the end of this, we can make it sound a bit more bassy like a kick. Definitely brought it into the forefront. So if I pull from rhythm, I guess that's kind of our kick sound, post effects. So now we got a side chain happening, and you could see the gain reduction the more I pull up this gain from that. Play with this reverb after all of that. Maybe a bit of a boost on the out, and we could add a tremolo. My favorite go-to. Yeah, let's go ahead and automate this crazy business. The more you automate, the more fascinating the sound you're going to get is going to be. I mean, it goes without saying, you've seen me mess around with it, so yeah, I think I want this to automate up only every now and then. Sometimes it's nice to just have a little effect only every now and then. Definitely animate this. Oops. I've got my middle mouse button set to turn on the clip automation record, which also now auto saves. But then if I hit the left mouse button and middle mouse button at the same time, it flips between the clip automation view and this current effects panel view. So, you've got to be careful with. So now we can middle mouse button, left mouse button flips, and then this I want to jump. I'm going to jump up to 12. Back down to 0. I guess we could automate. We've got believe. And I have some modulation here. Cool, I'm liking some of the slurpy, unpredictable. I definitely want to play with this reverb up. I love a little reverb push, a little egregious reverb. I am liking the simple beauty of this spectral stuff. Again, we just stacked some chords here. You could stack as many chord sections as you want. We could sometimes have this thing turn off. It's not as exciting. We can do a 50-50 every now and then. So, curious now what a vocoder is going to sound like on this rhythm. Do a 50-50. Good old vocoders really adds a layer of sonic intrigue. Let's pull it from the spectrum. As much as the noise is nice. I'm not even sure. Modulator, maybe you play it with a... I have to explore some of these other options here. Oh, cool. Was not expecting that. Happy accident. So this is pulling from the pre-effects out of just this whole. Get back to that because I think oh, wow, that's almost too interesting to pass up. Again, the vocoder, just run weird things through it. Same with convolution. It's a great way to get some cool drones, some cool effects. Is just put random sounds as the impulse response. Drum beats and interesting rhythmic convolution. I like it. I dig it. So far, I'm feeling all right about this sketch number 20. So breaking up the monotony from all the party jams we had going on, or I said party jams. Yeah, the ambient jams, ambient party jams. Cool. Let's try playing with the format. Well, I like that -12. The depth. And we can also play with the range. Okay, so let's group this. And dupe. Group and dupe. Why would you do that? You might be asking. Well, I still wanted to hear what would happen if I pulled just only from the spectral effects. And maybe nothing, it won't sound like anything. You could always put a delay after this and just muck about with the time, as you've seen me do before. And it's no big secret playing with the delay in this way can be really fascinating. Might need a boost. Cool. It's almost too crazy. I'm curious what a compressor with a side chain taken from maybe before all this. We'll call this the okay, I'm now realizing that our this track's volume is like way hot. Sorry if you basically couldn't hear what I was saying for the last 20 seconds. Okay, we'll call this our Vocoder Spread. Let's turn this down. And we're going to pull from before the Vocoder Spread, so right before it. And that way we get the volume coming from just sort of the straight, unvocodered drums. So Vocoder Spread pre-effects. Let's pull that ratio up there. And now it's almost like a Slurpee kind of machine, kind of weird nonsense. So we definitely need to... Yeah, I'm gonna go and pull the volume of this down a little bit. Cool. Let's yeah, is it oh, I think this may be... There's all kinds of weird sounds happening. I'm not even sure where some of them are coming from. Yeah, that like really high-pitched squeal. I think it's coming from this delay here, maybe. Not even sure. Let's go ahead and just automate some of this. Just thinking about saving it. You got this, Ableton. I believe in you. I believe in you. Sometimes it just hiccups like that for whatever reasons. It seems like when we pull the delay really high up, we get that really high, crazy squeal. And also could have something to do with the depth here. Nice. Every now and then I think I want this to pump up. Pump up the volume every now and then. Cool. So some strange squeals. I'm assuming it's coming from let's turn off this vocal spread and see if we lose all those squeals. Yeah, and maybe we just need to adjust down the feedback a little bit or something, maybe. It seems like I was thinking it was coming from that delay effect when really it was coming from this one in here, so could be the depth. We also could copy and paste this compressor and add one to here. or a reverb on the end of it, just to give only this crazy vocoder nonsense some space. And this mix probably sounds absolutely garbage. I'm using my earbuds, my headphones, which I love these earbuds. We could obviously, you know, take this onto a speaker system, but, you know, I get crazy feedback with the microphone, unfortunately. But there's a lot you can do with headphones, honestly. Once you listen to a shit ton of music with your headphones, you can get really familiar with what sounds good and what doesn't sound good on them. There are also some systems out there that let you tune your headphones so that you get like really flat, even mixes. It's like a filter that ends up going on the outgoing audio. I've seen these systems also for studio rooms, and it just does a bunch of filtering to perfect your whatever's coming out of your speakers. Anyway, I digress. All right, so I'm feeling it. Liking some of these nutty stereo bass happenings. Yeah, one thing we could play with is obviously any effects before or after the main beat. It's always interesting once you get like an interesting effects channel going on to see what other effects sound interesting before it or after it. Yeah, maybe that's not something we'd want to be going on for very, very long. But hey, at least we tried it. This hi-hat percussion. I'm curious about it. And they do want to put a, where's that drum bus hiding out? Where you been all my life, drum bus? Not the spectral chord, I think on the rhythm. We need to throw this comp on and just trim it a little bit. Let's see if our limiter is... So I always wondered if the drum bus would limit stuff, and it looks like it's kind of limiting it a little bit. We'll pull the boom down, or the decay of the boom. I mean, I love some boom in there, of course. A lot of weird sounds happening, and I'm not even sure where some of them are coming from, but, you know, we've got so many automations happening that after a while, you know, once this number gets up there, the automations are crisscrossing and interplaying a whole bunch. You never know what's going to come out. It's kind of a fun little experiment just to see. I do like some of the feedbacky stuff we've got coming out of the those like almost fluty type weird sounds coming out of the vocoders. Maybe we need a little more something on this hi-hat. I feel like it needs to cut through just a little bit more. Could always duplicate this and have another operator here. This one doesn't have all the automations, and I do feel like the hi-hats could use a bit more. Let's go and turn our grid on. Give ourselves a lot more hi-hat notes to play with. And maybe what's happening with that pitch. Oh, that was interesting. But just something weird happened there with our with our keyboard shortcuts. Not sure what went down there, but whatever. Easy enough to get back to reality there. And I'm trying to move this knob kind of to the beat a little bit. We can obviously draw it in there like that, but I kind of want some of the weird humanistic oddness that happens only from you dragging that knob the way you do. Cool. I'm thinking under the rhythm section, we may want to dial back some of this vocoder stuff. We could add a pan, as we've done in the past, if Ableton will let us. We could have it go to the beat. Obviously, we could animate the beat and make it a lot more spastic to the rhythm of the piece. Let's automate from repitch to fade every now and then. Let's stretch this out to 20. So only every now and then we get that repitch weirdness. I kind of want to animate these also, so let's go ahead and set that up. Very good, very good. Very cool. So, here we could put an auto pan if Ableton will let us. I swear, sometimes it just chokes, and I didn't notice this as much with Ableton 9. We could automate the rate. I really do wish the autofilter had a wet and dry option built in. But again, got my effects rack preset set up with an auto, a wet and dry that we can put any effects inside of. So I could modulate this down every now and then. And I kind of hear this bass more in the stereo. And there's a spread somewhere in here. I think it's under the sort of global section. Where is that spread? Saw it before. You know what? Forget it. I think I'm going to just drop in a chorus. There's a lot of little buttons in some of these instruments. You really got to... I do love that FM stuff that comes out of the chorus when you turn this little button on. let's do some animating of that. Set these lanes up. And I want to hear what happens when we move some of these other... I almost hear a chord of some kind. Some kind of chord. I don't even know what that means, but let's just drop in an operator in here and give ourselves a longer note for that. We've got a lot of cool, fast-paced, spastic sounding rhythmics going on. And we could mess with this chord thing again. Let's try... Maybe we want the chord after. Really bizarre, but still a little boring in my opinion. I think we can automate this here. So we got lots of different strange timbres happening. Let's pull this off the grid, and I just use my hotkey. Cool. Now we've got this wave just kind of... But it sounds like the filter is kind of taken over. Nuts. Let's get a delay in there. What's happening with this? Sounds like someone kind of holding their horn down. It's a bit... Actually, we could just turn this down a lot. Maybe that would help to boost up a little bit. Bit of a reverb could help give it some extra life. Wow, this is starting to sound quite nuts. Cool. record. Okay, so one thing we haven't really messed with yet is some effects. Grain delays, my go-to. With a -12 in there, who knows what could happen. Could even drop a vocoder in there and I wonder if we could set these to pre and post, like on the actual returns, but it doesn't look like we have that option. Yeah, we're getting so much bass coming out from that feedback that I just made. When you turn on the send and you send it to itself, obviously, yeah, crazy stuff happens. And we need a side chain. Let's just copy that and drop it in here after. I think I need to animate that. I need to animate everything, to be honest. Cool. Let's hit go on that and start moving this thing around. It's sounding very FM-y almost. I like it. Cool. So one thing I want to try to do is set this up, and it's a bit of a maintenance task. But what I mean to say by set this up is let's go ahead and group this. So we've got ourselves an instrument. We'll call this rhythm, and I'm going to map this on off to here. And let's say 1, or, let's get more incremental, 0.01, and then max 0. And let's map the volume. Let's go to max of 0. Oh, I think we wanted to actually map the volume here. Let's map it here. So now when we pull this down, it turns off this layer altogether. Call this perk rhythm. And we can do the same down the line. Call this our, spectral? Oh, hi-hat perk. Hat perk. I like hi-hats to be white usually. I think that makes the most sense to me. And let's map the volume to this knob. 0 top. Pull it down. Now we have these two sections cut off. Alright, spectral's next. I'll show you when I'm done kind of why I'm doing this. And this is how I like to set things up. Well, I'll just go ahead and explain it. This is how I like to set things up for live performancing using a drum rack. And it takes a bit of getting used to in terms of setup. Did we map that already? I believe we did. are you? Up here. Okay, so 0.01, 0 max. Seems a little backwards, but whatever. So you could have. We need to map the volume. You could basically have, you know, different tracks that have these racks in them with these sections inside of each one of those. And you can just sort of turn them on and off as you need. And just kind of play across them as a live set. It's an interesting way of doing it. Most people just want to use samples, and that's okay. Obviously, you know, people need to do things however they feel. That's the beauty of this whole thing. Let's see, 0, and then my 0.01, 0. But this is how I like to do things, and I think it's interesting to note you can get some really cool sounds with just let's see, bass, yeah, with just you know, doing it this way. We can sort of isolate sections also. I've had whole sets of like 20 different tracks like this with these drum racks that all had weird and fascinating things going on in them. And, you know, as long as you don't have everything on all at once, you know, on a little MacBook Air that I used to perform live with, I've been able to have, you know, several of these all on at once, and you can mix between one and the next. I think it's a lot of fun, and it sounds really organic and fascinating. Again, not for everyone, but it's how I like to do it, and so I'm setting this up for future use. We needed to device on 01. It's interesting. You can dial in decimal places, floats, if you will, and it'll take those. Now I think this perk actually has some vocoding that pulls from the spectral. So we may actually, you know, we don't get as much sound out of that because of that, but we can turn on these different sections. And perform that way. And we can also map our send, FX1 we'll call it. Let's go ahead and map that here. And I could group these, obviously, and we could have them turn on and off so that they're not always running in the background when we don't want them to be. 0.01 and 0, and it looks here like we've got a device on that I forgot to add the 0. So that's looking about right. Let's go ahead and make that 0. FX1, we'll call this, you know, Nutso Spectro. Could rename it later, but gonna have to listen to all these by themselves. Of course, we could use the solos here, you know. If we don't want something to turn off, like the chord, it takes a little while to fire it up because we're using this one long note. We could just turn it down, you know, almost to 0. And we could also There's other tricks and techniques we could do to make it. So it doesn't sound too bad when everything's kind of judiciously, that's hard to say, turned on and off like this. I also want to experiment with one more thing before I go, because I do like where this is at, and you know, I could hear this being messed around with for 3 to 4 minutes in a live performance setting. You know, if we add some more effects chains in here, which I'll do that in a minute. Might as well not short on this one. We'll call this tempo cray. I love loop BE internal MIDI routing. It's super useful, especially to do weird things like this. You'll see what I mean here. This is going to be a little weird, but this is a fun little trick if you really want to get nuts with things. So now we're sending out here. You can see the flashing here means we got MIDI being sent out. You have to set up your loop output on loop B to go from track, which means it goes out of the track, and have it set to remote on input. So loop BE internal remote on input. If we set it on track on input, we can get a feedback loop, which loop BE has an automatic mute switch. So if you stop hearing MIDI coming out of it, that is why this turns on automatically when you have some feedback. So, but it's a freebie, loop BE, and for PCs it's pretty useful for routing MIDI from one app to the next. So anyway, I'm going to shut up and hit MIDI map. And it looks like we've got a mapping going to our tempo. And as you can hear, not so slow one. We almost get a whole other sound coming out of our rack. It's really transformative when you mess with the tempo in this way. Again, really wish Ableton would let us take the tempo down past 20. That's just my dream request. They probably never will, because they don't think there's any reason why you would ever need a tempo that goes that low. I had one friend who told me that plugins behave and act really unpredictably at that we can pull this up here if we really want to try to get some fine tune. And I think we can actually type in, we can choose edit value, type in 13.5. We type in something else, edit value, is this only going to let us do integers? 13.7. Doesn't look like it, as far as I can tell. But I'm definitely seeing a change up there in the... It's hard to get non-float tempos this way, but... Cool. So this is close to our original. Close enough. And also we could... We'll turn this off here. We could also MIDI map this to not go up to 999. Why wouldn't you want to have things as fast as 999? Why would you let it go that fast and not down to like 10 beats per minute? I don't know. Some of the design decisions in DAWs, I just have no idea why. But we need to unmute this. So now it's like a whole other type of composition at this point, when we're breaking up the steady rhythm. Steady 127. Looks like this one is, I I think because this is set here, well, because I changed my overall tempo, yeah. Steady 128.35. Good little breakdowns can happen from all that. Sometimes it's nice to just, you know, have some steady and yeah, so every now and then you get these like modulations of pitch. You can also do weird curves. So that is controlling your tempo with MIDI. It's a lot of fun with MIDI clips. There's also some Max Live options there, which we'll explore down the road. Spectral Funk. All right. So when you load this up, you know, this tempo thing may not work for you unless you get all the routing set up. You get something like Loop BE. You don't have to use Loop BE. There are other options out there, I believe. I like Loop BE. It's free. And I'm trying to, I guess, point out also as many free options. Let's pull in. Yeah, 10-15 minutes ago I say, I'm almost done here. Such bullshit. Let's try to see if, yeah, it looks like we've got this thing still working. Obviously, if you want to use this included patch, you have to open it up and you have to reroute the message to point to your plugin of choice. And your plugin has to have, you know, some presets already that it comes with. So, okay, so let's go ahead and yeah, I'm hearing some stuff coming through on that. It sounded bizarre, but we want to automate this. So that it's not just the same sound over and over again. And I think the best thing to do for these synths is to automate them. Enable synth. Oh, yes. Show automation. Let's remove our follow actions. And actually, I do want to try some follow actions here. Looks like we soloed something, maybe. Yeah, I guess. Huh. The question is, why is it freaking out? Can we stop playing this? Is our tempo down? I mean, you kind of almost have to think, like, what insane things did we do to cause it to start hiccuping this way? Could just be, and my hunch is, we have pushed Ableton too far for the last time. Yeah, it sounds like... maybe it's just that we need to turn this off. Sometimes it's the silliest reasons. Or not. Now I'm intrigued, and you know, this is one of those things where you get... Wait, did we solo something here? And it looks like... Maybe I'll mute this to see. I'll stop it. Let's start from the beginning. Wow, this is we can see the notes are not even coming through. And is the clip even playing? It looks like, oh, it looks like somehow we added a bunch of extra space. Funny that. It's always something. I'm going to set a follow action up here. Play this as other, and these are going to jump out to the first one. Play first. And we'll kind of make their follow actions a little odd. Let's make this one a little different than that other one. And then this one we'll have play for at least 2. At least 3, 2. We'll just see what that does. Cool. And we'll set these to legato so that they will start from like arbitrary middle points based on where the last one ended off. It's some complicated start and end point action, but yeah, this one's starting here whenever it plays. Yep. But we don't want these to hang out too long. Maybe I'll have this one play again every 1 time, and then every 3 times it'll jump to one of these other ones. And maybe I'll also have another slowdown option, or maybe a steady option. We'll duplicate this, and we'll just add a few more little bumps. We'll just change it up a little bit. Cool. And then I was back over here trying to mess around with this. And we needed to just automate basically these, all of these. And the reason why I would want to automate them all, oh, I need to turn off follow actions for my hotkey to work. Yep, because then otherwise it'll do what it did before. I see now. It is actually, my hotkey is causing that to occur. Something to think about for down the road. So let's, we'll save, turn that on. Cool. We'll keep that off most of the time. I'm just going to go ahead and start messing around with recording these. And we can map this effect here to, call this effects 2. See that I have this typed and also added, and we can, of course, can animate or automate all of these together. Let's see, there we are. Yeah, we can see it's going nuts. And I think I'm gonna also map this on and off switch to here, so this effect is not being used. Let's go ahead and make it 0.01 instead of 1. Awesome. So we're going to pull these off the grid. Get rid of some of these excess dots. So if I have all these down, yeah, I wish I could do these set as pre, and maybe that's an option in here. I don't see that as an option in here. Okay, so only the volume of the. Sounds very, very odd and experimental, and I love it. this and map the gain here. That's too much gain. I don't want that much. And let's give it a minus 12 and we'll automate that. So this only allows volume to go into the effect every now and then. At least this way, when you load it up in this this particular Max for Live patch doesn't work for you. It'll still sound, you know, somewhat okay. Oh, turn that off. Saving automatically. Yeah, I kind of almost like it with not everything going on at once. Just let's go ahead and hit play on some of these. It's fun to try out different combinations to see what works. Sometimes I like to just hit the space bar, hit stop, and then shift in space. Lets you start back up. That's kind of a nice... If I just hit space by itself, we would start over from 0. But if I hold down shift and hit space, it picks it right back up, right where we hit stop at. And it's nice with the MIDI controlling. We can also have, you know, we can drag this and play with it however you want until the next one of these clips fires and takes over. So in terms of a really nutso, abstract type of beat-oriented piece of I guess you could call it IDM. I mean, this is you know, it's comparable. I think it fits. It works. Cool. So these must be stopping. I wonder if they're all set to loop. Looks like they are. This one's not set to loop though, which is interesting. Oh, because it's. Let me see. Wow. Just I don't know where some of these sounds are coming from, but I love the unpredictable nature of this whole thing. Some crazy breakdowns, crazy stuff. Not for everyone, but you know, for my kind of taste, I love this odd, strange things happening on their own. Of course, you know, the minus 12 pitch grain delay, such a go-to for me. Maybe we'll just have this one turn on every so often. You know, every 17, it'll, maybe sometimes it's on like a little ways. And also a little tight reverb. Probably needs some EQing in the bass region, but so there you have it. And so here's, you know, some form of a live performance. Yeah, these are. I'm actually really curious why these turn off. So maybe one of the, I set this to stop. I want this to play again, or no, maybe it plays again every 3 and jumps to the other every, yes, that explains that. Awesome. Well, okay, you know, happy 20th sketch anniversary. Sketchiversary. I hope everyone's enjoying this stuff. At least I am. And sorry again to sound selfish, but this is why I'm doing this. It's for my own fun and an excuse to get myself to, you know, speak more and learn to exercise the vocal cords a little bit more as a mental challenge. But also, sketching is fun, relaxing, and should be. And playing with new ideas is always rewarding, and there's so much more to it. So until next time, enjoy.